Namaskar, welcome to Inside 20 with Ashok Vyas. I'm so excited. The new year has started, and with new year, we always have a lot of new resolutions. But resolution should be backed by a vision, and that vision would be unfolded in today's show with the help of very special guests. And I take this opportunity of welcoming all of them together on the screen with Namaste and folded hands. I have the distinct pleasure and honor of welcoming Assemblyman Dan Quart today to ITV studio for the first time. Of course, not in the studio literally, but then I also have the presence of Dr. Sumita Sen Gupta. She is educator and leader, both educational leader. And then we have the presence of ever friendly Mukund Mehtaji, President of India Home and several organizations. And as we take baby steps to see how our relationship evolves with this new year, we pay attention to our attitude, our mindset, and we dig into our ability to sustain hope and enthusiasm for long term. And then again, there are some lingering issues from the previous year which are still walking with us. How to deal with them is a question, and we will share all this and understand more from the point of view of the gentleman who has agreed to be a part of this show and celebrate New Year by sharing his vision. So, as I welcome Dan Quart once again, I briefly want to mention that here is a dynamic assemblyman from District 73, and Dan also gets the credit of being the recipient of the best pro bono attorney from the judge, and all that tells me about his commitment to serve the community, and that commitment has also resulted into his offering of his services to take the responsibility of district attorney, Manhattan District Attorney. So we will learn more about Dan from him, and very quickly, Sumita ji, before I come to you, I want to have Dan say something about his ability to see beyond the immediate obstacles. And I see a lot of legislations which were introduced by you, sir, as assemblyman. So what is the secret? Is the secret coming to you from your parents who both were teachers, and your father taught for over 41 years in the schools? Yes. That's incredible. So begin by sharing with us what is it that you picked up from him which helps you in discharging your duties.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you to my fellow colleagues here on the show, and an opportunity to speak to a broader community about why I'm running for district attorney. But most importantly, you brought up my parents, and thank you for doing that. My father, a teacher in public school system for 41 years. My mother and sister, both social workers and formerly teachers, one a teacher in the public school system. I guess the lesson imparted to me by my family was persistence. And I think that is ultimately the mark of success, persistence to go forward with legislation, with ideas, to build coalitions, and not to be set back by initial setbacks. If I've had one recipe for success in my term in the legislature, and hopefully as district attorney, is to take good ideas, to memorialize them in actual policies, and to be persistent in executing them to the betterment of working people in Manhattan. So if I could narrow down to one thing I've learned from my parents and my family, second generation American family, it is persistence in the goal of shaping and helping public policy to help working people.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, this persistence word should stay with us throughout the year, because persistent pays if we practice it. If we just write the word persistence without following through, then it may not help. But persistence and our commitment also requires some support system from the system itself. And sometimes, as immigrant, Dr. Sumita, many people feel that the justice system is not serving them in equitable manner, and there are certain issues, and in the past few years many apprehensions have increased. So when you look at this American judiciary and how immigrants perceive about getting fair treatment, is there any change that you would like to see, and what is it that you see as promising in Dan Quart from that point of view?
Well, namaste, friends, and to my colleagues on the show, Mr. Vyas, thank you for inviting us, and Mr. Mehta and Assemblyman Dan Quart. As an immigrant myself, my parents came here a long, long time ago, and I came here as a child. And immigrants, as you know, face a lot of adversity. And while they're trying to actualize the American dream, they are unable to navigate through all the perils or knowings of the judicial system. A part of it is not knowing what to do, how to go about things. So generally, the Indian community and the South Asian community in recent years have faced some adversity, some racism after 9/11 and thereafter, because people don't really understand some aspects of this community. And Mr. Quart, Assemblyman Quart, you have an incredible website which really outlines what you're going to do, your priorities. And one of them talks about really bringing equity to all people, no matter where they're from, or whether it's their class structure or the ethnicity of their race or religion. So that was a very nice piece to read. So if you could elaborate on that, given the position of district attorney, how would you work with immigrant communities through the Manhattan District Office?
Well, thank you for the question, a very important one. And I would go about strengthening ties between the Manhattan District Attorney's Office and immigrant communities, communities of color, in 2 or 3 very tangible ways. And I appreciate many of these things are spelled out in greater detail on my website, www.danquart. But it really looks at different crimes, different charging mechanisms, and seeing that they're intentionally or not, there's a disproportionately negative outcome to communities of color, to immigrant communities, and then really ferreting out those charges or those prosecutorial tactics and simply not using them anymore. It doesn't mean that people would not be arrested for them or summons, but I think the outcomes I don't think the courtroom is necessary. In fact, I think it exacerbates some problems. I'll give you one example. Driving with a suspended license. I'm not talking about DUI or DWI. I'm talking about tinted windows and other things that poor people often have a difficult time paying those fines. For historical reasons, that unfortunately has been elevated to the criminal court. 76% of car owners in New York City are white, but over 80% of those who are prosecuted for driving with a suspended license are people of color, from communities of color and immigrant communities most likely. So when you look at the words of the statute, there's nothing discriminatory about it, but something is happening throughout New York City between the NYPD and when it gets to a prosecutor's office, that the outcomes are most disadvantaged to communities of color and or immigrant communities. And I see that and I recognize that. And the simple best way to avoid those outcomes is decline to prosecute. That doesn't mean the city of New York can't act upon a summons, but I don't think it belongs in a criminal courtroom. That's just one tangible way I think I can go about reducing the footprint of the office in ways that are not helpful to immigrant communities as of today.
So there are multiple issues which immigrants need to take care of, especially if I talk about people who are trying to assimilate in the system, and they have a long way to go, but many people have crossed those steps. Now they are here as American citizens, yet sometimes they feel that the sense of not belonging to this place is coming and asking them about their identity based on their color or that sense of hidden discrimination sometimes, Mukundji, many people feel. And at the same time, as New Year and New Vision, we are talking, we want each and everyone to realize his American dream in his own unique way. From that point of view, based on your experience, do you see there is a need for some rearrangement in terms of the way we are moving together as one nation?
Well, I certainly do. And I would draw upon my experience. I grew up in Washington Heights in northern Manhattan the first 17 years of my life. A very diverse community back in the 1980s, before we used the term diverse. Different communities, the newer Dominican community moving into Washington Heights over the 1950s and 60s. So I saw firsthand the melting pot, at least in my small part of Manhattan. I think a lot of the things I've done in the legislature, not specific to criminal justice or criminal legal reform, reflect on policies that are critical towards bringing together our immigrant communities and, to your point, eliminating or at least dissipating those feelings of discrimination, whether spoken or unspoken. And I think a lot has to do with education and fair housing, which while may not be specifically tangible to the district attorney's office, is something I have experience in as a pro bono attorney for tenants for almost 10 years of my life, and passing significant legislation, co-sponsoring in Albany, pertaining to protecting our immigrant communities. I was talking about some of my work as a pro bono attorney on housing issues, which you kindly mentioned at the beginning. I was awarded one of the city's top pro bono attorneys many years ago for my work for people on the precipice of eviction. But I think really it's my work in the legislature on housing, immigration, and criminal legal reform that speaks to the values of helping and working and protecting our immigrant communities throughout Manhattan.
Absolutely. So on the one hand, as we are in the month of January, we all are excited to embrace the new year, and a lot of new challenges are facing us. And I take this opportunity then to once again reintroduce the gentleman who fortunately is also with us today, is Mukund Mehta ji. He is a brilliant mind from Indian American community as CPA as well as an attorney. But more than that, he has served the community through various organizations, especially for seniors. Question to you, Mukundji. We find not only in Indian American community, but I think many other migrant communities, that they connect more with people who come from the same land. So maybe there will be Pakistani American community, Afghan, and then Latino, I mean, whichever country. So my question to you is, in New Year, should we resolve to mingle more with members from other community? And in that direction, where do you see the role that Dan Quart or leaders like him can play? So both these questions.
Thank you for the question. I think it is bound to be that when people come from one country, people of that country are assimilated with that group only. Slowly and slowly, as the time goes by, they mingle with other people from different countries. And for that, the best thing is to have a platform where there are, say, for example, Asian community meeting rather than only the Indian community meeting. So if there is an Asian community meeting, then the Japanese and Filipino and other Asian people are there. There are certain associations where I go, it is a mixture of such group. But I agree that by and large, the people are just concentrating in their own areas of ethnicity. They don't go beyond that one. But I think as the time goes by, the people will realize that it is the broader spectrum in which they should get involved and not get limited to their own circle.
Absolutely. And coming back to the second part of the question, we are fortunate to have Dan Quart with us today. And hopefully we will see him as District Attorney Manhattan soon. what do you see can be effective role which people like him or especially then can play to bridge this gap?
Yes, I think, Assemblyman, what I would suggest, at least from my, as I see the viewpoint, if you address your meetings to groups like ours, where people are there and they are not that much exposed to the political system so far, they do not know the intricacies of the legislation. So I think when you come and address us on a certain points, and how the American system works, what is this criminalization, why the people are in a jail before the trial, and such other issues where it is a day-to-day affair of the people, and how to reduce the criminal activities. I think that will impress the people and get more and more involved in the legal system of this country. So I think if you get a chance, whenever, if you just address our people on the different aspects of the legal system, the laws, and what are the things that we can contribute as a citizen to the community and to the betterment of this whole society.
Absolutely. Then you want to add, sir, something to this issue?
Well, yes, the Manhattan DA's office is an incredible opportunity because 1,511 employees, $170 million budget, pot of money of nearly $800 million to help not-for-profits in different parts of Manhattan and beyond. So this is an office with incredible resources and the ability to really connect and not just provide resources, but to be an outlet to different communities where maybe familiarity with the legal system is not what it could or should be. So I think there's a bridge to play both in the footprint of the office and how it can help with not-for-profits who are doing incredible work under many different stress factors in different parts of our communities, especially communities of color and immigrant communities in Manhattan, as well as the district attorney himself, when I'm elected, to be able to do that outreach directly to those communities that we've been speaking about, the Indian American community, the South Asian American community, and be a bridge to those communities. So we do events together, we participate together, and that younger people or people in the community who might not be so familiar with the DA's office or what it does, that we change that going forward.
Sumita ji, I also want to mention that you not only are an educator, you have connected not just with students, but with community at large. And from your point of view, where do you see additional role that Dan Quart as district attorney can play to address some of the burning issues for our community?
Well, Assemblyman Quart, I've been an educator for 39 years. And in my role, particularly in New York City Public Schools, one of the big issues which I would hope when you're the district attorney can be reduced is the over-criminalization of people. And it doesn't just mean students, it means immigrants, people of color. And basically, sometimes schools become a pipeline for the prison system. And that is an issue I think that we would like to help you work on. And as far as immigrants go, we would like that not only that we learn about the system here, but as you put so well, you in your, I referred to your website before, that you will stop over-criminalization of the poor and the immigrant communities. So this, you mentioned before in this program that a ticket can go into the criminal court when it doesn't need to. So these types of things where people are unaware of the seriousness of something in the current city law or state law, and that it becomes such a monumental thing, it becomes a big criminal act where they can go into prison. For example, another thing, we have been watching, we live in Queens. So Rikers Island has been under the issue of closing for many years. and that has a lot of immigrant people and a lot of people of color. And when I was working in public education, we were supporting programs like Close to Home, where people who were underage or under 18 or 21 would not be penalized in a way that they would be so isolated from the families. So my question to you is, in the issue of overcriminalization, you spoke a little bit about it, but what will you do as the district attorney in kind of negotiating these things for immigrant families, for people of color, for the greater population in New York?
Well, the main thing I can do is send fewer people to jail, and for those that we send to jail, for shorter sentences. So for example, in Albany, I'm working on getting rid of the mandatory minimums, which require, with a conviction, a certain amount of time being served. We are sending too many people to jail for too long of a period of time. And the way I can also deal with that as district attorney is sentencing reform. Basically reduce the amount of time that we're incarcerating for. I'm on the corrections committee in Albany. I also responsible for regulations vis-a-vis the corrections department of the state of New York through my work in the assembly. And I don't see a lot of productivity. I don't see much rehabilitation in our state correctional facilities, nor in our city jail system. We are just warehousing mostly poor people for too long of a period of time. That's my basic belief. And as district attorney, I'll try and reverse that trend. One, through sentencing reform that I just discussed, and two, continue my connections in Albany in the legislature to change those mandatory minimums so nobody's under that sort of statutory pressure to send people to jail for longer periods of time.
Absolutely. I think that's very, very important point. And life is so precious. We have limited time in this form on the planet Earth, and we should try to bring out the best and serve wherever we can. Having said that, I also want to bring to your attention that we just have 5 more minutes to go for this conversation. So I'll quickly ask Mukundji, when we hear this word, or rather expression, criminal justice reform, it sounds very impressive, but some people draw meaning based on their understanding. One point where you would like to see change in the criminal justice, what that would be, Mukundji?
I think the cash bail should be avoided completely, because unnecessarily people with a poor resources, they stay in a jail, whereas the people with the resources, they get out and they become free. So there should be completely abolition of the cash bail, as Assemblyman Quart has already mentioned, that is one of his objective. I think if that is done, then a large number of people who are in a jail prior to the trial, they will not be suffering, and they will come out and they will report on the day of their hearing. So I think one biggest thing is to remove the cash bail.
Absolutely. I think that's a very, very important point. And Assemblyman Dan Quart, as you talk about criminal justice reform, what is on the top that you have in your mind as priority? And also allow me to mix another angle. We are in not just New Year, but we are likely to be very soon under a new presidency. How do you see America moving in 2021?
Well, in certainly a more positive direction under a Biden administration. I think we'll have, locally, for the last 4 years, we've had lots of fear for our immigrant communities, for our neighbors, through incursions by ICE into the courtroom and the court process. So my hope is, with the Biden administration, those things won't exist anymore. So I'm hopeful for a better future for this country and for this city. Still, the primary problem, of course, is COVID. And I go back to, not specific to my work in the legislature on criminal legal reform, but something in our minds in every community is really how to bring this city out of its state of recession or economic downturn into a better state in the future. And those are the issues we deal with right now on revenue in the state budget as I go back to Albany next week to begin the legislative session. But the answer to your question is I'm hopeful for the future. The city faces great crises in terms of unemployment, small businesses. That's part of the work I do in the legislature. But I think I can be most effective for both my constituents and Manhattan as their next district attorney, bringing a more equitable, a more fair criminal legal system to our courtrooms each and every day.
Absolutely appreciate that. So we need to be alert, proactive, as well as hopeful. And as we conclude, less than 30 seconds for each to share your New Year vision or anything that you would like to convey to our viewers, starting from you, Dr. Sumita.
Well, to our viewers, I'd like to wish you a very blissful year. We've been through a lot last year, but there's hope. And in our hope, we have the ability to make good decisions. And I wish Assemblyman Dan Quart the best. He is a good decision for Manhattan and for New York City as a whole, because I think...
Thank you. So now moving to Mukundji, same question.
I would say that Assemblyman Quart, you are a champion and advocate of the criminal justice system. So whatever you can do to reduce this criminalization procedure, I think that will be of a great help. And we wish you all the luck in your endeavor to become the district attorney.
Wonderful. And final words from you, Assemblyman Dan Quart, your expectations from our viewers.
Well, I want to thank all of my fellow panelists and my colleagues here for letting me share the stage with them today, and for your viewers at home. My note is simply that 2020 was a very difficult year for all of us, for those who had sick family members, who lost family members. And my hope is for all of us that 2021 brings us better health, better safety, and a better New York City. And I look forward to continuing our dialogue about why I would be the right person to be the next district attorney in Manhattan. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to clap for all three of you. I just recollect this line from Mahatma Gandhi: be the change that you want to see in the world. And we need to bring about that change in ourselves, and then we can see literally the new year is for New Yorkers, of course for others, but because new is there. And then our neighboring state, New Jersey, also has new. So new vision for new year. Thanking the presence of Assemblyman Dan Quart, Mukund Mehta ji, and Dr. Sumita Sen Gupta, and especially thanking all of you for being a part of this conversation with lots and lots of good wishes. Once again, Happy New Year. This is Ashok Vyas.